Vietnam has been in a civil war for years. Its beat-down government failing to really hold on to much. It was called the Vietnamese Communist Union Party, VCUP. Unfortunate acronym. Anyway, VCUP looked for financial backing from Russia and found more than they asked for. Now Russia, along with their North Korean volunteers, have unified via a paramilitary force called the Iron Guard Corps, or IGC, and taken the lead. Their people are all over the country, spreading like ants and guns for nation-level money. To counter them, the European organization United Intercontinental Security, or UICS, offered humanitarian aid to the locals. Unfortunately, some in their ranks joined for less than altruistic reasons and got aggressive, going so far as to set up in abandoned military bases. The last group participating in the recent clashes for control is the Vietnamese Liberation Front, or VLF. Their leadership is new, and their intentions of liberating Vietnam are inspiring, but Fang is curious to see in what ways they go about it and how their government ends up. Okay, so
I bought Incursion around when it first came out for the promise of a solo-friendly player versus AI extraction shooter with realistic gunplay. And when it came out, it was definitely a very early project, in probably the most controversial game engine ever made. And it was rough. What I can tell you to save some time if you're looking at buying Incursion is that it absolutely fulfills its original goal while still very much being an early access title that's in active development. Incursion Red River is developed by a small indie team based out of Munich, Germany called Games of Tomorrow. Incursion was originally developed under the name Project Quarantine, but that moniker was dropped sometime after the demo of the game released on Steam. There's not a lot of info on this dev team and the transition between what was Project Quarantine and what's now Incursion, so from a history side there isn't much to say here. The only thing we can really take this dev team at is their actions and product, so let's talk about it. Incursion starts you off in a pretty typical extraction shooter process. Here's a few AKs and a couple Glocks, go wild. But already this game is introducing you to two of its core gameplay systems, a lore-heavy campaign and a base upgrading element. But we'll start with the campaign. Your first message on the terminal introduces you to your Fang handler Observer, explaining that you're a talented military operative, but expresses that the job you've just been put on is essentially a death wish, with an extremely small ground team that most operatives wouldn't even touch. Observer also says that Fang likes to play their cards close to their chest, and that she can't tell you everything yet. Fang won't even tell her everything, and she's been working under Fang for around 20 years.
While Fang might see you as expendable, I really do see your potential.
Your first mission from Fang is to yoink a shipping manifest so that Fang can smuggle in an antenna that will connect to a surveillance satellite above Vietnam. And this is where you get thrown into your first raid, so let's talk about a couple things. First of all, this game looks amazing graphically. I love the art style for this game and the setting of Vietnam. Something you'll find later is that interior buildings are like back rooms level empty, but that's something that's being worked on as we speak. And speaking of updates, Games of Tomorrow are incredibly transparent about the development status of the game and what's being worked on, actively addressing major community issues while building entire new maps for future updates. They have an entire channel in their Discord solely for AI updates because it's been arguably the harshest criticism of the game for its entire lifetime. And even that has come a long way. While waiting for Fang to act on the information you gained from the shipping manifest to get their antennas into Delta, you're tasked with intercepting UICS from meeting with representatives from multiple small war bands that have claimed territory in the surrounding woods. And by intercept, they mean kill everyone in the local fishing village, and Fang, once again, won't tell you why.
Also, as part of my job, I need to make sure your health is adequate and that you are reacting well to the environment. Which is annoying because you're supposed to be a highly selected elite military blah blah blah, but have you been experiencing any of the following? Headaches, dizziness, balance issues, high temp, shortness of breath, or nausea? Nope. Okay. Good. Good luck, stay safe, and, make sure you get out.
I kind of have two sides on this. On one hand, you're an elite military operative that's either bold enough or dumb enough to take on the entirety of Vietnam with a team of 1 to 2 people. Asking if you're experiencing dizziness or balance issues is kind of a dumb question to ask. On the other hand though, Observer might have enough experience with Fang to know that they don't give a flying fuck about how the operator feels as long as the mission gets done and the operator doesn't die with critical information. Maybe it's a bit of both. Either way, it's time to go 500 kg, the fishing village, and this is where we get to touch on the gunplay. The AI in this game aren't perfect, but a majority of the time they will feel pretty fair unless you get head tapped close range by a 12 gauge, and trust me, that will happen more times than you think. The big thing that's important here is that the AI keeps you on your toes quite a bit, and even if they aren't, you can customize damn near everything about the way they act, with preset difficulties or custom sliders. The AI are far from perfect though. Sometimes they'll just shoot at a wall nearby or in front of you in a way that doesn't make any sense. They don't do super well with stealth either, which makes nighttime raids incredibly difficult at times since they seemingly have perfect vision while you're playing Slenderman. I also still haven't been able to figure out if they react to flashlights or lasers, but so far my consensus is they don't, but again, I don't really know. The actual gunplay though is incredible. The guns feel meaty, the recoil is great in most places. I don't think guns like the MP5 should be kicking quite as hard as they do, but overall recoil does feel great. Gun audio has genuinely scared the shit out of me on multiple occasions, and it really reminds me of Insurgency Sandstorm, like damn near 1-to-1, which is great because Insurgency is probably my favorite modern PvP shooter to this day, and Incursion is the only game I found that scratches that itch in terms of gun feel. I would personally like to see improvements to blood and gore in this game. Gore is non-existent, and blood is kinda here and there. I've never seen entry-exit wounds on anyone I've shot either, and I think it's something that GOT should improve on towards a full release. This game does so well in so many places in terms of immersion, and this unfortunately is just not one of those places. I'm going to leave the rest of the campaign for now in case you decide to play the game, or in case I decide to do an entire lore video. So let's move into the last big gameplay element for Incursion, which is the base upgrading. Your base has a bunch of different spots that you can upgrade with all of this seemingly random loot that you find out on raids, and some of it will actually change the way your entire base looks to make it look a little less abandoned. The gunsmith I think is the biggest upgrade since it allows you to do a lot more customization and more clarity on all of the guns you actually have access to. You can also save and load presets for your guns, so if you want a night kit M4 and a daytime M4, you can do stuff like that, as well as customizing the weapons that are already in your inventory. Grinding these base upgrades out takes quite a bit of time though, and can even be dependent on your standing with the other factions. Once the base upgrading in this game is complete, it'd be really cool to see the base get upgraded to the point where it's genuinely a nice military bunker and not something that looks like it got nuked 40 years ago. And it gives you something to work towards the whole time you're playing, rather than just going into raids trying to farm the best weapons constantly. There's a lot in this game that I haven't gotten to yet. I haven't used all the guns, I just started messing with terminals, I haven't done the bosses, and I haven't completed the campaign. And I'm about 30 hours in. That's pretty worth it for $20 for a game that still has an insane amount of content in its roadmap. Incursion has turned out over time to become one of the only shooters that I even still bother to play, and seeing how much this game has already changed, I'm super excited to see how it turns out as a finished product. This game has a wild potential, especially in the single player scene for the milsim genre, which is nearly non-existent, and I'll definitely be covering more on Incursion in the future.